Hey guys, so this is the Inland Reef Keeper bandsaw that we are lending out for the Bay Area Reefers Club. I'm going to show you how this bandsaw works. I'm going to cover how to cut this Monty frag that I have and what you should do after you're done fragging. So let's quickly go over some parts about this bandsaw. So this is the diamond blade itself. It just wraps around this wheel that I'm going to show you in a little bit. This is the cutting board. It should be a little bit cleaner once you get it. It's not that big of a deal. I mean, once you're done using it, you'll end up with like all these little debris and bits of corals and rock and whatnot. After you're done using it, take a paper towel with some tap water or whatever, just wipe this blade table off. Let's see. Okay, so let's go over how this bandsaw works. Alright, so I was talking about that blade. It sits on these wheels right here. There's two of them. And these wheels, you can adjust them, and sometimes they'll need adjusting. But when you get it, it should be just fine. So you shouldn't have to mess with this. But if you do encounter issues, what can happen is this blade can either be too far back or too far forward. And as it turns, the blade can walk off of this wheel. And you have to put it back on. Or it can walk all the way to the back, and then you'll have to adjust it, and because then it's not going to cut correctly, it's going to damage this little wheel and whatnot. So make sure that as this thing's turning, this wheel should sit right in the middle, and you shouldn't have any problems. Again, you shouldn't have to really mess with it. I'm just showing you how it works. And there's actually these two little nylon screws that sit on the door. I just took them off for the video and whatnot. But yeah, don't lose these little nylon screws, okay? Let's see, what else? This thing, let's talk about this little coolant reservoir right here. So this can detach, and that's actually how you adjust the wheel, but don't adjust it unless there's an issue. Okay, so this bandsaw, as it's cutting coral, there's a lot of friction building up. It's going to get hot, and things are not going to like getting really heated up in here. So you add salt water to this little coolant reservoir. I use tank water. The manual recommends RO fresh water, but then you would have fresh water dripping onto your coral as you're cutting it. Not ideal. If you want to do that, go ahead. But for my usage, I use tank water. I use the water that my coral is coming from. And as you put water into here, water's going to drip onto this little saw right here. And then this knob right here controls how fast that drip goes. The manual says 1 drop every 4 seconds. It's really hard to do that depending on how this tube's looking and how it's been, you know, misshapen and whatnot. But yeah, try to go for 1 drop every 5 seconds. If you do 3 drops a second, it's not that big a deal. So yeah, you're gonna have water dripping through here. It's gonna fall through here, fall through this part, and go into this chamber and drip out of this hole right here. There is a big tube that it comes with, and you can attach it to here and make it fall into a bucket. But for my usage, I hate dealing with that thing. I just leave it in this little cookie tray or some sort of container that will catch all this water. You can see some water here. The more you use, the more water it's going to have. So let's see, what else can we cover for this video? Oh, so power cord, it's a white cord all the way over there. This is the power block itself. There's this knob right here. Once you turn on this knob, it's on. And it's at its lowest setting. So if you turn it all the way, that's 100%. You really should not be using it at 100%. It's not good for the motor. You shouldn't need 100%. I kind of use it at 50 to 75, depending on how hard the coral or a small piece of live rock is. Do not use this thing to cut anything other than coral or really small pieces of live rock. Do not use this thing to like cut giant live pieces of rock to aquascape your tank. It really is just for cutting coral for propagation purposes or maybe small pieces of live rock. Alright, so let's go over how we're going to cut coral. Okay, so I've added water to the coolant reservoir, and you want about 1 drop. I think they said 1 drop every 4 to 5 seconds. That's probably 2 drops a second. Sure, that's fine too. And you need this water on here. It has to have water. This needs to be cooled. This blade needs to be cooled because it'll get really hot. And it definitely helps cut the coral too. So let's turn on the saw itself. You're not gonna be able to hear me, but as you're cutting the coral, here's the Monty that I'm gonna cut. Okay, not that big, but as you turn on the saw, sorry, this side. Remember, this side is the sharp side. This side is dull. This isn't gonna do anything. This side, this is the business end. As you're cutting this coral, let the saw do the work for you. You should not be pushing this coral really hard into the saw. It should not have to work that way. The saw should be able to cut right through this thing easily, especially if it's just a piece of coral. Alright, so let's get started. So there you go, that's how you frag a plating Montipora. We're not going to go over how to cut every single types of corals because there's going to be like, I don't know, 30 videos or whatever. But that's just a plating Monty, kind of just cut it to the way you want. There's polyps all over the place. Then after that, I kind of just put it right in my tank. That did take a while, and I had to adjust a couple things. Had to turn up the RPMs a little bit, make the saw go a little bit faster. I made the water drip a little bit more. And then the other thing to consider is, you know, corals cut through pretty fast, but I had a little frag plug right here that required a little bit of more time. And you'll find that some corals cut really easily, some corals cut a little bit harder. You know, if you've got like a Hollywood Stunner chalice, it's so fragile, you know, it'll just cut right through that thing like nothing. Alright, so what do you do after you're done cutting your coral or your small piece of live rock? This thing, you need to maintain it, okay? So this blade, over time, it's gonna dull. If you cut certain things that you shouldn't be cutting, like, I don't know, PVC pipe or something, it's gonna dull a lot faster. Do not use this for anything but coral or small pieces of live rock. Try to keep this blade as sharp as long as possible, because we want as many people to be able to use this saw. Let's see, so what do you do for maintaining? What do you do after you've already cleaned it? And I'm kind of new at this. This part's still in progress. I'm probably going to edit this video to add more updated information. But for right now, what I've been doing, add water to this thing, wash out some of this gunk. Let's see what else. Take some paper towel, tap water. I'm just using tap water, by the way. Salt water and metal, moving parts, not friendly. They do not like each other. You see a lot of rust, broken parts. That's why they recommend using RO water, RODI water for cooling the saw. But that's just something we're not going to do at the moment. But yeah, after you're done, wipe off this board, make it look nice, make it clean for the next person. You don't want it to show up all dirty and everything. I'm just going to try to get some of this gunk out of here. All this, you know, pieces of frag plugs and rock and coral. It's going to build up in here. Every now and then, take time out of your day and just clean this thing out. You know, there's gonna be a lot of people using this thing, a lot of gunk buildup. Not everyone's gonna do their part, but open it up, clean it. This is your saw. This is everyone's saw. Let's, you know, get this thing in good working order, and let's keep it that way to the best of our ability. Let's see what else. Other than that, you know, just make this thing look good for the next person. Make sure it's working. Other than that, that's it. That's how you use the Inland Bandsaw for this club. And yeah, you know, the cookie pan, definitely helpful because it's collecting a lot of water. And then anything else? Let's see. This this board actually does come off. There's 4 nylon screws, well 3, one's missing, but for the most part it stays on there. You can actually take this board off, clean it, like in the sink or something, and then screw this thing back on. I don't recommend that because you might lose these screws and I don't have to deal with finding them. The other thing you should know is that this is the motor housing right here. This is where all the action is. They say it's sealed, but don't dump this thing into your sink. Don't put this into your sink and start hosing it down. I don't trust this seal long term. But yeah, see, so if you do have a bigger tray, don't let this thing sit in too much water. It's gonna damage the motor housing. I don't want this thing sitting in water, and I don't want it being dunked in the sink and whatnot. But other than that, yeah, work towards making this thing last as long as possible. If you know any tips or tricks to maintaining and extending the life of this bandsaw, post below, and then I'll edit this video, no problem. Alright, thanks for watching, guys. Bye.